What you're about to hear will shape you to your core, and before we go any further, I need you to understand something crucial. The headlines screaming across your feed right now about Kevin Owens being arrested for assaulting Cody Rhodes are not what they seem. This isn't just another wrestling storyline bleeding into reality. This isn't kayfabe gone too far. This is something far more sinister, and the fact that you clicked on this video means you deserve to know the truth that WWE doesn't want you to discover. Major wrestling outlets are scrambling right now, deleting tweets, pulling articles, and issuing corrections, but the damage is already done. Careers are hanging by a thread, reputations are being destroyed in real time, and somewhere in the middle of all this chaos, two of WWE's biggest superstars are caught in a web they never asked to be part of. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, who's really responsible, and why this could change professional wrestling forever, but first, you need to hit that subscribe button and smash the notification bell, because what I'm about to reveal will have you questioning everything you thought you knew about the wrestling industry. Let me be brutally honest with you right from the start. Kevin Owens has not been arrested. Cody Rhodes was not assaulted in the way these fake news websites want you to believe. But here's where it gets absolutely infuriating, and this is what should have every single wrestling fan's blood boiling right now. Somewhere out there, someone created this lie, manufactured this story from thin air, and released it into the wild knowing full well that it would spread like wildfire across social media. They knew fans would panic. They knew Kevin Owens' name would trend for all the wrong reasons. They knew Cody Rhodes would wake up to thousands of concerned messages. And they did it anyway. This is the digital age we live in, where a completely fabricated story can ruin lives in minutes, where clickbait has evolved into something so dangerous that it's destroying the careers of real people with real families. Think about Kevin Owens for a second. Think about his wife, his children, his parents seeing headlines that their son and father has been arrested for assault. Imagine the panic, the confusion, the absolute terror of not knowing where this came from or how to stop it. The wrestling community has always had a complicated relationship with work shoots and storylines that blur the lines between reality and fiction. We've celebrated it when done right. We've mocked it when done poorly. But this crosses every single line that should never be crossed. This isn't WWE creative writing a controversial angle. This isn't Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes agreeing to push boundaries for a pay-per-view main event. This is malicious, calculated defamation designed to generate clicks and advertising revenue for garbage websites that don't care about the human cost of their lies. These so-called news sites popped up overnight with official-sounding names, they steal logos from legitimate outlets, they format their articles to look professional, and then they unleash completely fictional stories knowing that most people will only read the headline before sharing it. By the time the truth comes out, they've already made their money and disappeared into the shadows, ready to do it all over again with their next victim. Here's what actually happened, and I want you to pay close attention because this timeline is crucial to understanding just how fast misinformation spreads in our hyper-connected world. Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes have been involved in an intense storyline on WWE television. Their rivalry has been personal, physical, and exactly the kind of compelling content that makes professional wrestling the unique art form that it is. Fans have been invested, social media has been buzzing, and WWE has been building toward what many believe could be one of the marquee matches of the year. In the world of professional wrestling, this kind of heat is gold. This is what promoters dream about. But someone outside of WWE saw an opportunity. They saw passionate fans searching for every bit of news about this feud. They saw algorithm-driven social media platforms hungry for engagement. And they created a fake article with a headline so shocking that it was guaranteed to spread. The article first appeared on a website that had only been registered days earlier. The domain name was designed to look similar to a legitimate wrestling news outlet, changing just one letter or adding a hyphen to fool people scrolling quickly through their feeds. The article itself was poorly written, filled with grammatical errors and vague details that didn't hold up under even the slightest scrutiny. There were no quotes from police departments, no mugshots, no case numbers, nothing that would accompany an actual arrest. But none of that mattered because within minutes of being posted, the link was being shared across Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Reddit. Wrestling fans, shocked and desperate to know more, were clicking and sharing without verifying. The algorithm saw the engagement and pushed it even further. Soon, the fake story was appearing in people's feeds who had never even visited a wrestling website, amplifying the lie to millions of people who had no context to evaluate its authenticity. Now, I want you to think about the real-world consequences of this for just a moment. Kevin Owens is a professional athlete who has worked his entire life to build his career and reputation. He started in small venues across Canada and the United States, grinding through countless independent shows, risking his body night after night for small payoffs and the dream of one day making it to WWE. He achieved that dream through talent, dedication, and an unwavering work ethic that earned him respect from peers and fans alike. His character work is consistently praised. His in-ring ability is undeniable. His promos are appointment viewing. And in one morning, a light threatened to undo all of it. Companies that might have been in talks for endorsement deals suddenly have to pause and verify. Family members are calling frantically asking if he's okay. His children might face questions or bullying at school from classmates who saw the headlines. This isn't just an inconvenience. This is real damage to a real person's real life. Cody Rhodes, on the other hand, has become one of the faces of modern WWE after an incredible journey that saw him leave the company, help create an entirely new wrestling promotion in AEW, and then make a triumphant return that has been one of the best stories in recent wrestling history. He's worked tirelessly to rehabilitate his family's legacy, to prove that he deserves to be in the main event scene, and to connect with fans in a way that feels genuine and earned. His story is one of redemption, perseverance, and believing in yourself when everyone else doubted. And now, he's being positioned as the victim in a fake assault story that makes a mockery of real assault victims and real crimes. The disrespect is staggering. The insensitivity is infuriating. And the fact that someone thought this was acceptable to fabricate for profit should make every single person watching this video absolutely livid. The wrestling industry has always had to deal with dirt sheets and rumor mills. From the earliest days of kayfabe being protected at all costs, to the modern era where insider information is traded freely across the internet, there's been a cat-and-mouse game between wrestlers trying to preserve their storylines and fans trying to peek behind the curtain. Most reputable wrestling journalists understand the line. They report on actual news, they protect their sources, and they make clear distinctions between confirmed information, rumors, and speculation. But the rise of fake news websites has created an entirely new problem that the industry wasn't prepared to handle. These aren't journalists with reputations to protect. These aren't fans who care about the business. These are scammers running content farms who will say absolutely anything if it drives traffic to their AD-covered websites. What makes this particular situation even more frustrating is how it exploits the very passion that makes wrestling fandom so special. Wrestling fans are deeply invested in their favorite performers. We follow their careers, we buy their merchandise, we defend them in online debates, and we genuinely care about their well-being. When we see a headline suggesting that something terrible has happened to someone we admire, our first instinct is concern, not skepticism. We want to know if they're okay. We want to understand what happened. And that very human, very compassionate response is what these fake news sites are counting on. They're weaponizing our empathy to generate clicks. They're turning our passion into their profit. And unless we collectively become more vigilant about verifying information before sharing it, this will keep happening over and over again. The solution here isn't complicated, but it does require a shift in how we consume and share information online. Before you share any news story, especially one with a shocking headline, take 30 seconds to verify the source. Look at the website's domain name. Check if legitimate news outlets are reporting the same story. See if the wrestlers or WWE themselves have commented. In this specific case, neither Kevin Owens nor Cody Rhodes posted anything on their social media about an arrest or assault. WWE issued no statements. The mainstream news outlets picked up the story. These are all massive red flags that should have stopped the spread immediately, but people were so caught up in the shock value that they shared first and asked questions later. We have to be better than this. We have to protect the performers we'd claim to love from these kinds of malicious attacks. This incident should also serve as a wake-up call for social media platforms that continue to profit from the spread of misinformation. The algorithms that determine what content gets amplified don't distinguish between truth and lies. They only care about engagement. A fake story that generates outrage and shares is worth just as much to them as a real story with actual news value. Until these platforms implement better verification systems and face real consequences for allowing fake news to spread on their platforms, we're going to keep seeing situations like this where innocent people's lives are turned upside down by lies. The technology exists to flag suspicious content, to verify sources, and to slow the spread of potentially false information. The question is whether these companies have the will to implement these solutions when doing so might slightly reduce their engagement metrics and advertising revenue. Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes will survive this. Their careers will continue. Their storyline will play out. But the precedent this sets is terrifying. If a completely fabricated story can spread this far this fast about two high-profile performers, what's to stop it from happening again? What's to stop someone from creating an even more damaging lie about a wrestler, an athlete, an actor, or any public figure? What's to stop these fake news sites from going after smaller independent wrestlers who don't have WWE's resources to fight back? The answer is nothing unless we collectively decide that we're not going to participate in this ecosystem anymore. Every time you click on a suspicious link, you're funding these operations. Every time you share without verifying, you're amplifying their reach. Every time you engage with obvious fake news, you're encouraging them to create more of it. I want to be absolutely clear about something before we wrap this up. The real story here isn't about Kevin Owens or Cody Rhodes. They're going to be fine. The real story is about all of us in the world. We're creating where life spreads faster than truth, where outrage is more valuable than accuracy, and where real people's lives are treated as content to be monetized. This is bigger than wrestling. This is about the fundamental breakdown of trust in information and the consequences we all face when we stop caring about what's actually true. Wrestling has always been about the willing suspension of disbelief. We know it's predetermined, but we choose to invest emotionally anyway because the stories and performances are compelling. But there's a contract there between performer and audience. They entertain us, we respect the line between character and person. These fake news sites are violating that contract in the most egregious way possible, and we can't let them get away with it. So here's what I need you to do. Share this video, but more importantly, share the message. Verify before you share. Question sensational headlines. Protect the performers who give us so much entertainment. And maybe, just maybe, we can start to push back against this tide of misinformation that threatens to drown us all. Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes are professionals who will continue to deliver incredible performances in the ring. Let's make sure we're an audience worthy of their efforts by being smarter, more critical, and more compassionate in how we engage with content online. If you made it this far, drop a comment below letting me know your thoughts on fake news and wrestling, and don't forget to subscribe because we're going to keep calling out this nonsense every single time it happens.